Good morning, Coach Dave here at CrossFit Rubicon for Crossroads Adaptive Athletic Alliance, here with the outstanding, impeccable Brendan Ferreira, who's going to demonstrate the progressions for an upper extremity adaptive pull-up progression. So what we're going to start with in understanding that the big key for us upper limb folks is that we maintain symmetry, right? If we get that load completely offside, we end up with spine, neck, hip, all other kinds of problems. So what Brendan's going to start with is a banded pull down. So Brandon's using a device that we put together with lashing straps and carabiners, about $2 or $3, no big deal. The key here, as we talked about, is developing symmetry. So when you watch Brendan pull down, and hold, what you're seeing is he's engaging his lats completely here, slowly come back up, and going at the same rate, which is forcing his spine to stay in line. It's also taxing his core to when he actually has to hang to do a pull-up again, to where he's not completely off sideways. So one more time. Okay, excellent. So the next progression in the upper extremity pull-up progression is going to be the inverted barbell row. What Coach Brendan's going to show you right now is the appropriate way to pull from a barbell to engage the lats and pull back. The lats and pull back. What I'd like to see him doing right now a little bit is pulling down a little bit lower on the pec, right? So bar's set a little bit high, I'd move back or I'd set the bar down to make sure that we're not completely externally rotating our shoulders there, okay? So as he pulls, he's pulling in and he holds, okay? Work up to this. As soon as you get to where you can do what I would think would be 5 to 10 horizontal pull or horizontal bar pulls, then it's time for me to start working on the next progression, which is the banded strict pull-up. Now, Brendan has been doing pull-ups for a while and has really developed a good approach to maintain shoulder safety here. Now, what you see him doing from below is he's crossing his feet. When you cross your feet, you're continuing to get that load up the midline versus what I see a lot of people do, having one leg out or the other. That drifts your load out to your dominant side immediately, okay? So when he crosses, he's centered. Now, as he pulls, it's not a jerk, it's a straight up pull and hold. You notice his arm is pushing straight out as far as it can be. He's a little bit off center, but that's not too bad, right? Whenever you look at how he's engaging his lats and pulling through, it's almost as though he's pulling through on a muscle up. Now, when we look at the progressions as we're starting this through, a couple things to keep in mind. We need to make sure that we have somebody who can handle your body weight to spot you, right? If we don't have that and you start to do some pulls and something in this mechanical thing that you've designed has failed, you're going to be on your back, and that's a bad deal for everybody. Our next progression in the upper extremity progression for pull-ups is going to be the strict pull-up. When we look at our strict pull-up, take yourself from a banded pull-up all the way down to you're about 1 or 2 bands below the lightest one, and then go straight into the strict pull-up. Don't keep yourself on a rubber band your entire life. Now, Brendan's going to walk through 2 pull-ups real quick. Go ahead and do 2 pull-ups. Notice his hollow position. And notice how he pulls symmetrically. You'll notice that his left side rows under a little bit. The tough part about us upper limb athletes is symmetry and pulling is a little bit unique. And when I say unique, whenever you lose a hand or are born without a hand, that the end of that stump, wherever it is, becomes your hand. So you need to understand that in space, you're pulling away. You got to think about pulling away and think about tightening that lat. The other thing you'll see is this attachment here. So this attachment here is basically a carabiner and a lashing strap, $3 or $4, and then he's got basically a ski binding, a D-ring, and a wrap. When you look at how he ties in, especially as we're tying into kipping pull-ups, which he's going to show us here in just a second, he uses a strap. That strap ties this side into this side and allows that load to progress straight. You see a lot of folks who want to get straight into pull-ups, straight into kipping pull-ups, and when they do that and they don't have that strength built up, they tend to just jerk everything to their dominant side, pull to that side all the time, and end up hurting that shoulder. Okay? Why don't you show a couple of kipping pull-ups here, B? Now when you watch him kip, a couple things to notice is he's not in a butterfly position. He's kipping with his hips, and then he's pushing back out. Kipping with his hips, pushing back out. Kipping with his hips, pushing back out. Perfect. A couple of things to look at. I talked about not doing butterflies. For us upper limb folks, that drives that load to that dominant side and can really open yourself up for injuries. So last thing to think about is really pulling those elbows into the body so you're not flying out and leaving yourself open, externally rotated. Perfect. Nice job.